Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiraye
Tato Jayamudiraye
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
So we're having the special class on Chaitanya Charitamrita or on Gaur Purnima occasion. Let's chant Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So we're reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we're trying to discuss about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's wonderful activities and the instructions on this most auspicious occasion of Gaura Purnima 2023. So we've discussed who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, what is Vedic Vaishnava Gaudiya and all those things, the connections, the breakdown of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life, the position of each one of us in the samsara and how we can come out of this. What are we going to do today? I don't want to ask, again, recap questions that we have already spoken. Today we will take one verse based on yesterday's session of Shikshastakam, and we will try to read from that and understand something. All of you were there for yesterday's Shikshastakam session, right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's this 8 important instructions that he has given is available to us in the form of Shikshastakam, and we saw the first verse yesterday. So if we know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we have understood Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, what should we do in our life? That is what we're going to do today in this fifth session of the special session on Gaur Purnima. And today is 6th March at 7:45 a.m. Very auspicious day. Let's chant this verse. This comes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 7th chapter, 128th verse. Very famous, very common verse, but very nice verse. Yare dekho tare kah Krishna upadesh.
Tare Deka Krishna Upadesh
Amara Agyaya Guru Hana Tare Desh.
Amara Agnaya Huru Gana Tare Desh
Yare dekho tare kah Krishna upadesh.
Yare Dekho Tare Deka Krishna Upadesh
Amara Agyaya Guru Hana Tare Desh.
Amara Agnaya Guru Hana Tare Desh
Yare dekho tare kah Krishna upadesh.
Yare Dekho Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh
Amara Agyaya Guru Hana Tare Desh.
Amara Agnaya Guru Hana Tare Desh.
So let's read the word-to-word meaning. Yare, whomever. Dekha,
Dekha,
you meet.
you meet.
Tare,
Tare,
him.
him.
Kaha,
Kaha,
tell.
tell.
Krishna Upadesha,
Krishna Upadesha,
the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita as it is spoken by the Lord, or of Srimad Bhagavatam, which advises one to worship Shri Krishna.
the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita as it is spoken by the Lord, or of Srimad Bhagavatam, which advises one to worship Sri Krishna.
Amara Agyaya,
Amara Agnaya,
under my order.
under my order.
Guru Hana,
Guru Hana,
becoming a spiritual master.
becoming a spiritual master.
Tara,
Tara,
deliver.
deliver.
Desha,
E Desha,
this country.
this country.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Translation: instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Shri Krishna as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. Translation with repetition. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Shri Krishna
Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Shri Krishna
as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita
as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita
and Srimad Bhagavatam.
and Srimad Bhagavatam.
In this way,
In this way,
become a spiritual master
become a spiritual master
and try to liberate everyone in this land.
and try to liberate everyone in this land.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
This is the sublime mission of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Many people come and inquire whether they have to give up family life to join the society. But that is not our mission. One can remain comfortably in his residence. We simply request everyone to chant the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If one is a little literate and can read Bhagavad Gita as it is and Srimad Bhagavatam, that is so much the better. These works are now available in an English translation and are done very authoritatively to appeal to all classes of men. Instead of living engrossed in material activities, people throughout the world should take advantage of this movement and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra at home with their families. One should also refrain from sinful activities, illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. Out of these 4 items, illicit sex is very sinful. Every person must get married. Every woman especially must get married. If the women outnumber the men, some men can accept more than one wife. If that way, there will be no prostitution in society. If men can marry more than one wife, illicit sex life will be stopped. One can also produce many nice preparations to offer Krishna: grain, fruit, flowers, and milk. Why should one indulge in unnecessary meat eating and maintain horrible slaughterhouses? What is the use of smoking and drinking tea and coffee? People are already intoxicated by material enjoyment. And if they indulge in further intoxication, what chance is there for self-realization? Similarly, one should not partake in gambling and unnecessarily agitate the mind. The real purpose of human life is to attain the spiritual platform and return to Godhead. That is the summum bonum of spiritual realization. The Krishna consciousness movement is trying to elevate human society to the perfection of life by pursuing the method described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his advice to the Brahmana Kurma. That is, one should stay at home and chant the Hare Krishna mantra and preach the instructions of Krishna as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus ends the wonderful transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal instruction to Kurma Brahmana. This comes in the part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit to South India. Actually, my little 2% realization of reading Chaitanya Charitamrita from here and there for the class, for preparing the class, especially reading the Madhya Leela, is so wonderful. I mean, this is a nectar which cannot be squeezed and presented in half an hour or 1 hour. The more you try to say, the more you desire that I should give everything, the more you feel, the more you are incapable. It's not possible. So what is the solution? The solution is each one of you have to read. It's wonderful, actually. It is beautiful. The descriptions of the activities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his magnanimity, his kindness, his compassion, and the reason for his advent are so nice, especially for Gaudiya Vaishnavas like us. We should just relish. Maybe I would say the initial first few chapters of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Adi Lila, is little difficult to comprehend because it's very philosophical. 4 or 5 chapters. But once you pass that, once you go past that, it is extremely relishable. Very, very relishable. So yesterday, since we read from Antya Leela and finished what is the instruction Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given, there is nothing much remains to know, right? That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says ultimately, Cheto Darpanam Arjanam. And we saw how impactful and insightful that verse is. How important it is to chant the names of the Lord. Here I thought little more extra what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is expecting us to do is not just chant ourselves, but also instruct people about Krishna. Yare dekho tare kaho Krishna upadesh. What is the biggest wealth that one can have in life? What is the biggest wealth? Kohinoor? Good health, okay. Having a spiritual master. Good health and spiritual master. What is the biggest?
Able to do a devotional service.
Be able to do devotional service, okay. Any other answer? No? Yeah. Okay, मिला दिया दोनों को. Spiritual master with a devotional service under the direction of a spiritual master, bona fide spiritual. All are good answers, all are not bad answers or wrong answers. But actually the biggest wealth that one can have in life is if the day is spent in remembrance of the Lord. That is the biggest wealth. Because every single day is something which is given to us by the Lord. And if we get an opportunity to spend the day remembering the Lord, that is the biggest wealth. Forgetfulness of the Lord is the biggest misery. The misery in life comes not because of anything else, not because my plan didn't go well or my somebody didn't listen to me or something happened. Forgetfulness of the Lord is the biggest misery. There is a beautiful verse which Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur quotes. Says Taddinam Durdinam Manye Meghachannam na Durdinam Yaddinam Krishna Samplapa Katha Piyusa Varjitam. Taddinam Durdinam Manye. I consider that day not to be Durdinam. Which day is considered not to be Durdinam? Which is Meghachannam. Sometimes the sky becomes cloudy, it starts snowing, it starts raining. We consider how bad it is, how horrible. I have to travel and commute, how inconvenient this is. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is telling that Taddinam Durdinam Manyam Meghachannam na Durdinam. Not the day when it is cloudy or when it is snowing. But that day, Yaddinam Krishna Samplapa Kathapiyusa Barjitam. That day when there is no opportunity to hear Krishna samplapa piyusa varjitam. The nectar of Krishna samplapa, the nectar of Krishna Katha, is deprived, varjitam, is denied that opportunity to hear. That is the durdinam. Tad dinam durdinam manye. So that way, Gaura Purnima is an opportunity for all of us to get a chance to, hear this nectar. Where else we will find this chance? And Srila Prabhupada, in his purports to this wonderful masterpiece called Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's very short purport, but he has explained this very practically, very, very practically. The instructions of Chaitanya Charitamrita are meant for people like us who are living in material world, in material society with lot of social obligations, how we can practice, how we can remain spiritual. And a classic example of this is given in this. How many of you have read the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit to South India? Actually, if you have not read anything also, I would recommend read Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit to South India. Very powerful, because the real preaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there in this. He meets Ramananda Rai, he meets few Muslim people, Muslim rulers, he meets one Buddhist philosopher, and he has some arguments, and he smashes all these things. So when Krishna personally was present, there were no other rulers, like, Buddhism was not there. Muslims were not ruling. And you come across all these people in your life in a day-to-day way, and one should know what should I do? How do I interact with these people? How do I understand their philosophy? And how our how our Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy is so superior. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given this wonderfully. I don't know how much time will permit to speak about those. But if you go through this, you will feel nourished. You will feel your heart is satisfied and content. So this particular verse is spoken to Kurma Brahmana, and Prabhupada in the purport last line, he's telling that is, one should stay at home, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and preach the instructions of Krishna as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. It is a very important thing to know what is the goal of our life, what is the ultimate goal. I mean, we are all human beings, we have different duties that we have defined for ourselves, we have different goals, priorities in life. But what is the real goal of human life? And that is very nicely there in this conversation which happens between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his visit, during the course of his visit in South India, meets this governor of South India, Ramananda Rai, and there is a conversation which happens where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu puts this question before Ramananda Rai to hear from him, that what is the goal of life? Usually the South Indian Brahmanas, they are, but he was not a Brahmana, he was a low caste person, but usually the South Indians, what they do is, for every single action, they come up with a verse. They say that this is what it is, and this is what we should do. So Ramananda Rai, the first answer that he gives is, Varnashrama Charvrata. Varnashrama Charvrata means every one of us, we should understand what Varna and what Ashrama we are falling in, whether we are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Sudra, or whether we are Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha or Sannyas. Depending upon what Varna and what Ashrama we are in, there are some prescribed duties which are given in the Vedic scriptures. We should follow that. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Iha Bahya Arakaha Age. This is external. I want something more. Then Ramananda Rai says, Yat Karoshi, Yat Juhoshi, Yat Asnasi, Tat Kurushva Matarpanam. Yat Karoshi, Yat Juhoshi. Whatever you are doing, it is slightly more. You are not just restricting to yourself to doing your duties as per the Varnashrama, but you are going one step further and you are offering every single thing that you are doing to Krishna. Yat Karosi, Yat Juhoshi, Yat Asnasi, Tat Kurushva Madarpanam. You do it as an offering to me. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Iha Bahya Arkaha Age. This is also external. I want something more. This is not the real goal of life. Then Ramananda Rai says, the third one, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshaisyami Masucha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says this is also Bahya. We know that the final instruction of Krishna as given in Bhagavad Gita is Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Because in the name of these duties, obligations, we are so stuck, we are so caught up, we are not able to dedicate our life, or we are not able to use this life which is what it is meant for. The best use of this life is to use this life in the service of the Lord. We are not able to do so. Krishna says Sarva Dharman Parityajya. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling this is Bahya Arkaharaya. I mean, say further. Ramananda Rai goes one step further and says, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nasochati Nakangshati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Lavate Param. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nasochati. That comes after Sarva Dharman Parityajya. When we come to that state where we are equipoised, not affected by the modes of material nature, we are Prasannatma, we are very satisfied. Nasochati na kangsati samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti lavate param. You get my devotion. My devotional life begins after that, Krishna says. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again rejects this. And then he comes to the famous verse, right? Which one? Jnane prayasya udapasya namantam. जीवन्ति सन्मुखरितां भवदीय वार्तां स्थाने स्थिता श्रुतिगतां तनुभान् मनोभिर ये प्रयासो जीतो अजीतो जीतोपि असितैस्त्रिलोक्यां ज्ञाने प्रयासम उदपास्य नमन्त एव जीवन्ति सन्मुखरितां भवदीय वार्तां. Beautiful verse actually. This is a prayer of Brahma in the 10th canto. And the important thing that we have to remember is sthane sthita shrutigatam tanuban manobhir ye prayaso ajito jitopi asitrais trilokyam. Sthane sthita shrutigatam. Doesn't matter where we are. Actually, for Kali Yuga, if you ask people, you give up all your responsibilities, give up all your duties, give up all your these things, they feel scared. Because even though that is the highest thing, to practically implement that in life is difficult. That is what exactly when Kurma Brahmana heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, saw his wonderful, beautiful, transcendental form, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing on the streets of South India, he got so attracted. He said, I don't want any more material miseries. I want to follow. I want to come with you. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, you can't. That's why, Yare dekho tare kaho Krishna Upades, Amara agyan Guru hoy, tanai des. Jare dekho tare kaho Krishna Upades. You don't give up your, whatever your activities that you are doing. Remain situated in that, remain fixed in that, yet you become Krishna conscious. That is the whole point. Sthane sita srutigatam tanubhar manobhir. We may remain in our position, but the real devotional life begins by hearing and chanting. Sthane sthita shrutigatam tanubhan manobhir. When we engage in this process of shrutigatam, hearing and chanting and glorifying the activities of the Lord, devotional life begins. Ye prayaso. And this effort, ajito jitopi asitrais trilokyam. By this, even the unconquerable Lord becomes conquered. So this is what first this is accepted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He does not stop there. He wants to go further. Again, explain more. And, Ramananda Rai takes him through the Sakya Rasa, the Dasya Rasa, Sakya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, then Madhurya Rasa. In Madhurya Rasa, the love of Radharani. These are all very, very high, exalted things, but he takes him through. But to reach to that stage, one first has to come sthane sthita srutigatam. Wherever you are, hear and glorify the activities, chant the names of the Lord. That's what this wonderful purport Prabhupada is explaining. What is the goal of life? Why you have to be so worried and anxious? Just chant the names of the Lord, follow 4 regulative principles. That is how you can come back home, back to Godhead. It is simple process. You don't have to complicate this. Don't just restrict this to yourself. Preach to others. Tell them also. And this is how you can come. Now there are a few things which Prabhupada mentions in this purports. Brilliant purports actually. These are all things one has to read and understand very, very nicely. These are explained by Prabhupada. One thing what Prabhupada does mention is, now imagine if somebody says Varnashrama is rejected. Ramananda Rai said and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, this is Bahya, this is external and this is rejected. So, does that mean that we should forget all our responsibilities and duties, and or there is no place for that when Sarvadharman Parityaja is also mentioned? How do we reconcile all these things? What is the real essence of that? Very interestingly, there is one example which Prabhupada is giving there, and I'll put it in a way that we can understand how this is so relevant. To become a teacher, right, to become a professor in a college, they say that if you are a PhD, then you can become a professor. I mean, the chances of becoming a professor is very high. But really, to become a professor or a teacher in a college or a university, you don't need a PhD. If you're a good person, you can still be a professor without being a PhD. But if you're a PhD, and if you say that PhD is not needed, then there is a weightage to your statement. If you are not even a PhD, right, you are just simply some dropout, and the PhD is not required to become a professor. Nobody will value that. If we see the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has given so strict importance to following the rules and regulations. So much of importance. Very, very strict. Actually, it is not that, okay, now I'm Chaitanya, he's the Supreme Lord, and he has come in the form of a devotee. He's always in a very high ecstatic consciousness. He can say, for me, no rules and regulations are applicable. I can just live life the way I want. I don't need to follow anything. But every single aspect, if you very minutely see, every single thing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is following. The strict vows of sannyas is being followed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very, very nicely, very strictly. It's not like, okay, I'm in Radha Bhav, so anything anybody says, anywhere, anything happens, I can forget or I can do anything, very strictly. And there are examples of that, like when he's eating anywhere, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, at various places it is mentioned, he's only eating in the places where there is a worship of Saligrama which is happening by a Brahmana. In those houses he is eating. That too, this cooking is done by that Kalakrishna Das or what is the another? Balabhadra Bhattacharya. These two people, they are associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are cooking. He's not eating from anywhere, because these are all the strict rules of Varnas. Like I am a sannyas, I can't eat from anywhere, and he's following that externally. Only there is one exception where there is a disciple of Madhavendra Puri who was chanting very nicely, wonderfully singing some in ecstasy, and when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard that, and he got to know that he's a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, who's Madhavendra Puri is the spiritual master of Ishwara Puri, and Ishwara Puri is the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he goes and accepts food cooked by that devotee. Only one exception. Otherwise, he is very strict. Even in the external situation, if you see, like when he is in Jagannath Puri and he is always, in some kind of ecstasy, there is one mention of one lady who was singing this beautiful Gita Govindam, very beautiful, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got so attracted, and he was almost about to embrace that person. He was not in bodily consciousness. Who's singing? Is it a man or a lady or something? He doesn't know, and he was, because the mood and the feelings of Gita Govindam is so intense that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was fully carried away by that in his when he is in deep ecstasy, and he was about to embrace. Govinda held him, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thanks him, saying that had you not done this, I would have quit. I would have had ended my life if I would have done that. So very strict. It is not, one should not take it as an extreme. Now I have become a devotee, I just don't care for any of these rules and regulations. They are required because we are living in a society, and we have to follow these rules and regulations. That's why this Thane Sthita, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, despite being the Supreme Lord, coming as a devotee, following all those rules and regulations himself, is demonstrating through his activities that yes, this hearing, chanting is important, but at the same time we have social obligations, there are social duties which we have to do. Do it, but remain fixed and be Krishna conscious. And that is what this purport is trying to explain. Jare dekho tare kaho Krishna upades. There are many, many interesting things. As I said, the time is very limited, and otherwise, this discussion of Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu itself can go on for 20, not 20, it can go for at least At least few sessions, 5 sessions or 6 sessions it can go. So intense and so interesting these are. There's one funny thing I'll talk about, and then we will go to another very interesting thing. Why Krishna is the Supreme Lord? How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that, and how he explains this to a very confidential associate. Why when we are doing this process of, when we are following this process of devotion, we are chanting Krishna's name, we are engaging in his devotional service, we are following Krishna's instruction, and why Krishna is so important, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that, and we will see that in a moment. Before that, I wanted to tell you just in very quick time, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions, the interactions with the Buddhist philosophers. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually smashed all their arguments, the Buddhist arguments, those days in India, there used to be always Bada Vivada. There used to be dialogues. So if you accept defeat, if you get defeated, you will follow what I am saying. That's how it is. Not like today, where people have got a lot of sentiments, emotions in the heart, and they don't. They again get carried away. No, this thing, that thing. Those days they used to follow. They used to humbly accept their defeat, and they will follow the other person's this thing. So when they got defeated, this Buddhist philosophy, when it got smashed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were not very happy. They were not very happy, and they cooked something which cannot be eaten by even normal people. So they brought it for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to eat. So it was not something which is meant to be eaten by anyone. So it was brought before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was just looking at it. By the time one bird came, and he took away all those remnants, and that plate also was taken by him. It fell on the head of the person who was the master of those Buddhist monks. So it fell on the head, and he became unconscious. Then all of those other disciples of that monk, they became concerned what they would do. So they came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what should we do? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, go and chant Hare Krishna mantra in the ears of that person. So they went and chanted Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada says this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu initiated him in the parampara. So they heard the mantra, and they chanted the mantra in the ears of that Buddhist monk. Like that, there are so many such wonderful incidences. You can't relish it just by hearing in a nutshell. You have to read it. Very beautiful, these things. But the fact that I wanted to talk about a little more, because it's unlimited, this thing, glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which are so nicely described. I want to talk about one very specific instance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had given so many instructions. The instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can be found in the conversations that he has with 4 people: Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Rai, Rupa Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami. These 4 conversations, if one reads properly, all the teachings of Lord Chaitanya can be known. In that it is summarized. So the conversations of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with these 4 people are very, very important. So we will take one such personality and one aspect of that. He was very fortunate to get this opportunity to have this conversation with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allowed, and we would just take one aspect of it, and we will finish with that. So this comes in the Madhya Lila, 20th chapter, and as I mentioned earlier also, the first verse of that chapter talks about the chapter itself, and it will be in Sanskrit. So this is such a beautiful verse. Vande Ananta Adbhuta Aishwaryam Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhum Nichopi Yat Prasadat Syat Bhakti Sastra Pravartakaha. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has unlimited, wonderful opulence. By his mercy, even a person born as the lowest of men can spread the signs of devotional service. This is the secret. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is there, Nichopi Yat Prasadat Syat Bhakti Sastra Pravartaka. He can become he can spread Bhakti Sastra Pravartaka. He can spread the signs of devotional service. So this conversation that I'm going to refer to, I'm going to talk about, is the conversation which happens between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatana Goswami. Actually, it is so wonderful conversation. Sanatana Goswami got that opportunity to interact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for probably the longest time compared to the other people. Rupa Goswami did get a chance, but not as much as as Sanatan Goswami. 2 months Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed him at the Manikarnika Ghat. And if you see these two pictures are so wonderful pictures. One, Sanatan Goswami, when he is meeting meeting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Ramkeli, he is carrying this Dante Trina. He is carrying the grass in his mouth. As an animal, he is falling at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great humility. And there is one verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I don't remember exactly, but it says that your humility is breaking my heart, O Sanatan. I'm not able to see this kind of humility. You are my eternal associate. His name was Sakar Malik, and he gets initiated as Sanatan Goswami. That time he says, don't show this humility. This humility is breaking my heart. And in the next picture, if you see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is embracing Sanatan Goswami when he escapes from the prison of Nawab Hussain Shah. You can see he has got a long beard and he's having a nice quilt or a blanket that he's wearing. But you see, this picture is so hope-giving, so nice actually. You know, the Lord embracing a devotee. I mean, this is very, very nice. This thing, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he saw Sanatan Goswami, who has walked so much in the forest and has come, and this is Tapan Mishra, who's not able to even recognize that there is a Vaishnava. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and embraces him. This is out of great compassion. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts this, Sanatan Goswami, and embraces, and there's a lot of interaction which happens. I'll skip all those things and I'll come to one particular thing where Sanatan Goswami is asking about who is Sri Krishna, what is his position, who is Krishna, because we are all doing Krishna conscious activities. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also mad about Krishna, so who's this Krishna is a question that is asked by Sanatan Goswami, and how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu answers that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he answers is, he gives this reference of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Uddhav, when he heard that Krishna is about to leave, he thought, what is the point living my life? You know, now Krishna is going, it is no more, I should also quit my body. But Krishna says, no, you should stay. And you should speak my instructions to other people. And that is how Uddhav stays. And that's how he got a chance to meet Vidura much later. And that same instance, do you know anyone who wanted to quit his body in Chaitanya Leela and he was asked not to do and then he continued to live? Sanatan Goswami wanted to quit his body, he wanted to commit suicide, and he was stopped by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he lived, but somebody else, apart from Sanatan Goswami. It's Raghunath Das Goswami. When Raghunath Das Goswami gets to know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is no more, he wanted to quit his body by jumping from Govardhan Hill. But Sanatan Goswami stops him and asks him to speak about Chaitanya's Leela, Chaitanya's activities. That's what he does, sitting in Radha Kunda, talks about the activities of Chaitanya or the pastimes of Chaitanya, which is heard by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and that's how he writes this Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Uddhav was advised by Krishna to stay back, and Uddhav stays, and he gets a chance to meet Vidura, and there is a wonderful conversation which happens. This verse comes there, which is quoted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatan Goswami. This verse Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes to talk about something very interesting aspect of Krishna. So this verse we will chant. Swayam to samya tishayastridhisha tishayastridhisha swarajya lakshmyapta samasta kamaha balim haradvis chiralokapale Kireetakoti ditapadapitah Swayam to samya tishayastradhishah Swarajya lakshmipta samasta kamaha. That Lakshmyapta samasta kama it becomes. Swarajya lakshmyapta samasta kamaha.
Swarajya lakshmyaptasamastakamaha
Balim haradbhischiralokapale
balim haradbhishchiralokapale
Kiritakoti ditapadapitaha.
kireetakotiditapadapitaha.
What is this verse? What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is quoting? So, mind you, if you have doubts whether I am doing right or not, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is telling the worship of Krishna is the supreme and why we should worship. All these conversations basically re-establishes our faith and conviction in what we are doing. Of course, we know it, but still in our heart, when we hear this, when we hear supporting arguments, or when we see this beautiful narrations, then our faith becomes very, very strong. So what is this verse is trying to say? The verse is telling that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the master of three worlds. Swayam tasamya tishayastradhishaha. Three adishaha is explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further. He is the master of the three things. And here it is in the word meaning, it is given some things. You can read what it is given, or you can think, but you have already seen. So what it is given is the master of the three places, namely Goloka, Vrindavana, Vaikuntha Loka, and the material world. So the first thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling, this three, Swayam ta samya tishayastradhishaha, the Lord Krishna is actually the master of the three places, namely Goloka, Goloka Vrindavana, Vaikuntha Loka, and the material world, or the master of Mahavishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, and Kshirodakashai Vishnu, or the master of Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, or the master of the three worlds, the higher, lower, and middle planetary systems. There are four definitions which are given for three Adhisha. These are all, and then he explains, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, the first three Adhishaha is referring to the Samanya Tattva. Samanya Tattva means like, this is just the bare minimum thing, that he is the supreme proprietor or controller or the master of three planets. Then Madhyama is actually, he is the supreme controller of Mahavishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, Karanadaksha Vishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, and Kshirodakashai Vishnu. But even the supreme to that is the final one, which is he is the master of the three places, Goloka Vrindavan, Vaikuntha Loka, and the material world. And to illustrate this point, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells two stories. Can you guess which stories? The stories we know. The first story that he says is, so this is the first line. Swayam to samya tishayastradhisha swarajya lakshmyaptasamastakama balim haradbhis chiralokapale kiritakoti ditapadapitaha. The first thing he's telling is that Krishna is the supreme personality or the master of three things. And those three things he explains. Then he's telling Swarajya Lakshmi Apta Samasta Kamaha. By his spiritual potency, known as Swarajya Lakshmi, all his desires are fulfilled. Everything that is happening because of Krishna wills. The other day, Subhyakta Prabhu in the class, he was mentioning that. So important to know Krishna's will. Krishna has a will. Krishna has a plan. Krishna, it's everything that is happening in our life is happening because there is a Krishna's will. There's a reason we have come in touch with this movement, and there is a Krishna's will is so prevalent in our life. If we are sincere, then we can go back home, back to Godhead. But behind that, Krishna's will is there. Everywhere behind that, Krishna's will is there. That also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will explain. So anyway, let's see the two things which is talking about. Swayam ta samya tisayastradhishaha. It's very interesting. Just pay attention how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatana Goswami discusses this, and Sanatana Goswami, actually, by the way, Sanatana Goswami doesn't ask, what are the three things that you are talking about? Swayam ta samya tishayastradhisha. What are those three things that he understood it. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes further and talks about this particular thing. He gives this example of Kirita Koti Ditapada Pithaha. In the Vaikuntha Loka, where Krishna keeps his shoes, like the chappal, there it is mentioned, all these demigods, they come and they offer their respectful obeisances. And they bow down so much that there is a clanging of their helmets. It makes a noise. It's a cacophony. They come and they bow down, dang, 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 dang. So they are doing that. So there is a noise which is produced. And we sing this even in our Suprabhatam that we chant. Anybody knows which line in that? There is a very nice place where it comes. Sri Swami Puskarini ka Plava Nirmalangaha Shreyarthino Hara Virinchi Sanandanadyaha Dware Basanti Varanetra Hatotvamangaha Sri Venkata Chalapate Tava Suprabhatam. Sri Swami Puskarini. They take bath, all these demigods, they take bath, Puskarinika, Nirmalangaha, and then they come. Who are those? Shreya. I mean, they are all engaged in devotional service. Shreya Arthino Hara Virinchi Sanandanadyaha. Hara is Shiva, Virinchi is Brahma, and all these four Kumaras. But Dware Vasanti Vanetra Hatottamanga. Dware Vasanti, the Jai Vijay who are there, they are actually beating them with the sticks. Dware Vasanti Varanetra Hatottamanga. Why? You go quickly. There are so many people who are waiting. There is a huge queue. So this is what exactly happens when we visit even our, this Tirupati. Right? You have to have a long waiting time, and finally when you come there, just little bit of darshan, they'll jargandi, right? You're gone from there, that place. So there is a preparation. To get a darshan of Krishna is not easy. So the verse says, Kirita Koti Ditapada Pitaha. So all these people are coming and they're bowing down, and when they're bowing down, their helmet is making this clanging noise. But very interestingly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after that, he says this wonderful pastime, which all of us we know, right? Can you guess what is this pastime? दिख रहा है? There is sunlight there. Jai Vijay. Yeah, this is a very interesting pastime which all of us we know, probably just are not, you also guessed it right. So one day what happened, our Brahma, he goes to meet Krishna, and there were these two doorkeepers, they asked, who are you? Brahma said, I'm Brahma. Who am I? Means what? I'm Brahma. I've got four sons, like the four Kumaras. From me, the Vedas come. I am do the secondary creation. I'm the main controller. So this doorkeeper said, wait, I'll go and ask. So he goes and talks to Krishna and says, somebody called Brahma who has come, and he is saying he's the creator of the universe. He does all this. Four Vedas are coming out of him. He has got four Kumaras as his sons. So Krishna tells him, go and ask him which Brahma he is. So he asks, which Brahma are you? Which Brahma I means what? I'm a Brahma from this material universe or something like that, he says. So this doorkeeper goes and he says like this. So he says, okay, ask him to come inside. So when Brahma comes inside, Krishna asks him, so is everything all right in your universe? Says that I'll come to that, but I was just curious to know when the doorkeeper came back and told me, which Brahma are you? I mean, is there any other Brahmas? Krishna just smiles. And Krishna smiles, and in his mind he calls out other Brahmas. So there is one 8-headed Brahma, one 10-headed Brahma, one 16-headed Brahma, one like million-headed Brahma also appears there. And seeing all of this, the 4-headed Brahma gets bewildered. Saying that how come this is, how is it even possible? So this is unfathomable. I mean, we think that our material world is so complicated, but the level of complexity that we have in this material world can be managed by a 4-headed Brahma. There are other complex places. I don't know how complex those will be. Million-headed Brahmas are there who are handling that. But anyway, Krishna told about this pastime, and this is happening in, where is it happening? Dwaraka. Next Krishna, next, this is not Krishna who's saying, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling. Next, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives this story of Brahma Bimohan Leela. Okay, he's trying to establish. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction is, interacting with Sanatan Goswami, who's also very, very elevated. So the interaction also has to be very fine, very, very subtle, and you have to catch this. So this also we know, right? What is this pastime? Then after 100 days. Hi, you can use mic. He's wanting to give you a mic.
That he has stolen all the cowherd boys, but Krishna expands and
Amol, question will come to you. Hear carefully.
Krishna expands, and now he like as if all the boys.
Where does this 100 days come from?
One.
Okay, let's hear from Bhagavatta Prabhu.
1 year I remember.
1 year?
Yeah.
Maybe 1 year or 10 years, who knows?
So long period of time.
Long period of time.
1 year basically. 1 year. That's what I know. So what happens is this.
There was one question which was asked to one person who had gone for an interview. How many rivers are there in India? Many rivers are there. How many states are there in the country? How many states? Many states are there. Many means how many? So like that, how much time? Maybe 10 days, okay, 100 days. Long time, bro, long time. Anyway, okay, 1 year, so please continue. Sorry, that just distraction, yeah.
So, Brahma took away all the calves and.
Why did he take away? What happened to Brahma? Why suddenly he took away all these calves and all?
So he wanted to see who is this. Everybody is talking about Krishna, and he wanted to test if he is a real Lord. So he took away, and then he'll keep in the Brahmaloka. Meantime, Krishna expands himself into all his friends as well as cows, and they go back home in the evening as if the same people and the same kids are going back, and the same friends and Krishna along with the cows.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, you have more? Finish.
No. He expanded himself later. Brahma realizes, and when he come back and bring down all of them, and he saw that as usual everybody is there.
Okay.
So even though they were not there physically, so he saw that, and then he realizes that and so he is a Krishna.
Okay.
He is the supreme person, and then Krishna called all the other Brahmas also to teach him.
All other Brahmas also came. That's little addition. Okay. Anybody wants to add to what he said? What he has not said, you have to add. What is missing? Okay. Badri wants to try.
So Krishna was performing various pastimes.
Okay.
Childhood pastimes.
What he has not told, that you have to say. Okay.
Yeah. So this news went to higher planet system. And Brahma was thinking, who is this talkative boy? Let me test. So he wanted to test Krishna. So in that context, he came to Earth. And what he did was, that time the pastime was like Krishna was having, their friends were seated and they were having curd rice. And so there was some cows had gone out of track. So they gone far, allured by that green grass.
Okay.
So they went. So Krishna did not want to disturb this situation because he wanted to see their devotees joyfully enjoying the meal. So Krishna told, I'll take care of it, don't worry. So Krishna went away. In that time, Brahma took away all this
ठीक है.
He made like a yoga nidra to all this, like some samadhi. So the boys are all in Brahma's
planet.
Brahma's control. Planet is there planet maybe.
Satyaloka.
So they are under control of Brahma. Now Krishna comes back, and Krishna sees no one is there. Then he thought these things, and then he understands, oh, this is the work of Brahma. So Krishna expands. Now this is the where in different forms. Same like the coward boys.
Okay, that's all. Okay.
Okay, then I'll increase the speed. Okay, the Krishna has expanded himself, and Krishna is performing the same activities all that.
Perfect.
And then Brahma, just a second, he sees, let me see what's happening down. Then he sees that the same set are there. Then he gets doubt. I did that or not. So he goes back and sees that. And he says, oh, it's here. So in that way he gets bewildered. And then he understands the potency of Lord Krishna. Then he comes and he offers prayers.
Okay. Just one thing which I want to hear is not going. Okay, that is also there. That was not spoken. That's great. But I'm just look at the picture.
Krishna expands as the universal form as well as the Vishnu form, and then again as the cowherd boys.
It's that is there, but I'm just that is there. But in this picture, what is it showing? Right side, he is asking for forgiveness for his this thing. Left side, what are you seeing?
His supremacy.
Huh?
His supremacy.
His supremacy. No. Look at the left side. Left side, what you are seeing?
There are many Vishnus, but only one Krishna.
There are many Vishnus, and who are these Vishnus? Krishna's expansion. But if you see either Nietzsche, these boys are there. Actually, these boys are. I mean, when Brahma saw one more time, he saw that these people are actually 400 Vishnus. No. They are Vishnus. First time he saw that these are the same cowherd boys, but the next time when he saw these cows, these calves, all these cowherd boys actually are 400 Vishnus. Then he realized his mistake. What I was thinking, what I was doing. And he came and fell down at the feet of Krishna. Now, this pastime everybody knows. You understood the pastime, right? You have to explain this after the class. Then this is the moment you hear, you should remember, you should repeat it. The moment you repeat it, it will become. It's a very beautiful pastime. By the way, this is in which chapter of Bhagavatam? 14th is his prayers. 13th chapter. Interestingly, Madhvacharya, he has given commentaries. 13th chapter, he has not given commentary. Why? Because Brahma is our Parampara Acharya. How can Brahma be bewildered? He has not given commentary to this 13th chapter. That's just trivia. But anyway, so what happened when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained these two pastimes? The first pastime, where did it happen? Dwarka. Second one is happening in Vrindavan, right? He asked Sanatana Goswami, what is the difference? What is the difference between these two bewilderment of Brahma? Where the first time, he saw this, and the second time he saw this, where he is asking for forgiveness. What is the difference? What is the answer? What do you think? That is the clue which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, why Krishna? And amongst Krishna also, don't think that this Krishna who is eating some ordinary food and walking barefoot is some ordinary child or something. It's a very interesting this thing. What do you think for a moment? What is the difference between these two pastimes?
In the pastime where Krishna,
if you have read that little, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that it's there in the series of verses. Have you read? Yeah. Okay, go for it.
I'm just trying. So in this, the difference is that in Braja Leela, Krishna is showing his supremacy relative to all the Vishnu forms. But in Dwaraka Leela, he's showing his supremacy relative to Brahma's forms. I mean,
that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains. That in Dwaraka, Dwarikadhesh Krishna is showing his supremacy over other Brahmas. But here he is showing his supremacy over the Vishnu forms. Don't think he is an ordinary boy. Oh no. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita says there is nothing more superior than me. Mattah parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Mai protamidam sarvam sutre maniganaiva. That is why the position of Krishna we have to see from these conversations, from these dialogues and the discussions. When we understand this position and when we also see this wonderful instruction finally which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given, Yare dekho tare kaho Krishna upadesh. You are doing the best thing. Just follow these 4 regulative principles, chant Hare Krishna mantra, engage in devotional service, speak about Krishna to others. People are averse. Kali Yuga this is the age, the symptom, the hallmark, the signature of Kali Yuga, Prabhupada writes in one of the purports, is disturbance. People are always disturbed. They will not accept, they will have so many problems, but you go on doing, like yesterday we went for this Harinam Sankirtan. It was difficult. It was not easy to play Mridanga because hands were freezing. But still, this is the best thing. If you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there was one place where I was seeing, there were this followers of Nityananda Prabhu who will go to any extent. They were so daring and they'll go and chant Hare Krishna mantra in the ears of some Muslim king. They will do some crazy, they will go on top of some tree and just chant this because this sound is really powerful. Whether people know it, accept it, reject it, don't know, whatever it is, doesn't matter. We have to do it. Moment it goes, it falls in the ears. It actually, like yesterday we were hearing, it creates that cleansing of the heart, and the cleansing of the heart ensures a person understands who he really is. What is the real self? It's a very powerful thing. So if we just take this instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and pray to him on this day of Gaura Purnima, that let me remain in this position, sthane sthita shrutigatam, and keep hearing, keep chanting the glories of the Lord, and keep doing this for the rest of my life, we will guaranteed to go back home, back to God. I'll conclude with this one thing. This is one prayer, one song which is written by Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Dushta mana tume kishere Vaishnava. What kind of a Vaishnava are you, Dushta mana? You're a wicked, I mean, it's a very beautiful song. In that there is one line comes, Prabhu Sanatane Parama Yatane Shiksha Dila Yaha Chinte Sei Saba. To save yourself from the material pitfalls, please contemplate the instructions that the Supreme Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kindly gave us while addressing Srila Sanatana Goswami with the utmost care. Prabhu Sanatane Parama Yatane Shiksha Dile Yaha Chinta Sei Sava. Contemplate on those. These instructions are very valuable, very, very valuable. I didn't touch upon even 1% of what he has spoken. Very beautiful instructions. But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is telling Prabhu Sanatane Parama Yatane. Utmost care, think about this instruction. Siksha Dilayaha Chinta Sei Sava. You have to think about it. I'll stop here and see if you have any questions or comments.
Krishna Prabhu. So Prabhu, these demigods, they do know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Like that's how you said how they go and pay obeisances where Krishna leaves his chapels. But many pastimes you have seen like where they forget, like how Brahma, like some examples you have given. Why does it happen? Is it like Krishna wants to perform some pastimes or any other reasons behind that, Prabhu?
In various things, like for Indra especially, he keeps forgetting his position. Is he supposed to be hated because he is forgetting? No. They are all very exalted personalities. They've been given those positions or this superior thing because of some pious activities that they have done or because of some extraordinary qualifications. But however, it says or it reminds us that in any position we can become forgetful of Krishna. The whole reason for our material existence is ichha dvesha samuthena, right? So that envious nature or the desire to enjoy or be the controller is always there inside us. So the safest position is always to remain under the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master in association of devotees. That is the safest. Till the last breath of our life. The moment a little pride comes, little arrogance comes, that's where Maya captures us. The way of Maya's capturing is when there is pride inside us. Pride is a voluntary this thing which comes. It's not like it is coming because of something else. It comes within us when we think we know something. Like the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I mean, I'm just making it up. Chaitanya Charitamrita is divided into Adi Lila, Madhya Lila, and Antya Lila. So like that, a devotee's life also has got a Adi Lila, Madhya Lila, and an Antya Lila. Adi Lila, when somebody comes in touch with Krishna consciousness, he feels, wow, so great, so nice, this process is so good, bona fide, my life is made, set. Madhya Lila, you start seeing by the mercy of the Lord, some things develop. I am such a nice singer. I am such a nice book distributor. I am such a nice speaker. I am such a nice dancer. I don't know what. All these things will come because this is happening. Krishna's mercy. You have started chanting. All those things start manifesting. Then comes the pride. That's where the disturbance happens. That's where all the agitation and this thing happens, where a person can go off track. That is why it is always important to see this advanced devotee's life from this wonderful literature like Chaitanya Charitamrita, how they were so humble. Humility is the hallmark. There is nothing that can substitute that. All this Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, they've never forgotten this one thing. So if we are careful about that one thing, then that distractions which can happen in the Madhya. Antya Lila again, when people become old and they become dilapidated or there is no energy, they again come down and surrender. That is forced. You are forced to do that. But in the middle time, if you are not careful, you can go off track. So it can happen to Chandra, Brahma, Indra, whoever, Varuna. It can happen to any one of us. We should not deride them or think that, Arey, Brahma aise. I mean, think that Brahma also can become like this. Who am I? That's why this external energy of the Lord is very, very difficult to surmount. Daivi yesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. So I should be very careful. That's the other thing which Prabhupada keeps saying is Shurasya dharam, right? Shurasya dharam is razor's edge. Little inattention here and there, you may think you are in control of things. That's when Maya captures you. The hardest blow which comes in the boxing match is not the one where the full force or the strength of the person is coming and hitting you. That's not the one, because you are prepared for that. It is when we are not prepared, even if that punch is not the strongest one, you feel knocked out. That's exactly what happens to us also. In material life, the moment we feel overconfident or we feel callous, we feel, I'm doing everything. That's where Maya hits us, and hits us so hard that we are knocked out. So, why they do this? Because they are not still pure devotees. Of course, this Brahma Vimohan, as per Prabhupada, it happened before he got this realization. Brahma Bhimohan is actually a pastime of the Lord. You can say it is Yogamaya potency was working and he bewildered because Krishna wanted to enact this pastime. But there are other things like Brahma running after his daughter and all. That Prabhupada says happened before he received the knowledge in his heart from Krishna. So these things are one of examples. In our life it happens every moment. Every single moment we become forgetful of Krishna and we do sinful activities. We forget about that. We say, oh, Brahma, or Indra, Brahma, kabhi ekad baar. Sometimes it has happened. It's not like that we should not see. But rather we should take lessons from this, that we should be careful in our devotional life and practice this. So this position keeps changing. Right? So Brahma is a position, Indra is a position. So they can go back, but they're all like, especially in heavenly planets, they're all Sakama Bhaktas. They have all their materialistic desire. They want to hold to their position. They are very convinced about the fact that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. They engage in his devotional service, but at the same time, they don't want to give up that position of their, whatever that position that they are holding to. That is why they are not pure devotee. But they can go back from there. Indra can go back. Anybody can go back from anywhere. Sakama Bhaktas, yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. In connection to this, can we also say that sometimes the Lord desires that certain devotees take up positions? Like we have the example of Bali Maharaj. It is said that he will become the next Indra. So we know that
when the position is not filled by any qualified person, then the Lord puts somebody as Indra. Like Bali Maharaj will be the next Indra. So those things also happen. So you can't say permanently Indra is a bad person. He's just doing mistakes after mistakes. He's just they're all exalted personalities. We should see the mistakes that we are doing every moment rather than looking at their mistakes. Any other thoughts, questions? Thank you for your listening, and it's a wonderful Gaur Purnima. We at least got 5 lectures so far, and one more in the evening we will have. And the most important thing is, as I said, nothing can substitute your reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the more you read, the more you will feel satisfied, the more you will feel content, the more you will feel convinced, and it's a nice feeling you will get. So please read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Every single Adi Leela, Madhya Leela, Antya Leela, everything is relishable. Everything is very, very relishable. So if you read, you will get the benefits of it. And we should pray to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for being so merciful and compassionate, for having left behind all these wonderful instructions. We should take advantage and make our life perfect and go back home, back to Godhead. We'll stop here. Gaur Purnima Maha